What's up, guys? How's it going? MikeTheTech here, and today I'm going to show you how to basically create a settings menu, a basic settings menu that lets the user set their scalability settings in your game. The menu is going to pop up. There's going to be a drop-down box. They can choose their scalability setting, and then it'll automatically update and apply that setting. So before we get started, if you're watching this video, chances are you're not subscribed because 99% of you are not subscribed. And that's a pretty bad number. So if you like this one, be sure to click on that sub or thanks button below. Speaking of thanks, huge shout out to Miss Modav. Thank you so much for being a channel supporter. If you want to become a member and get shout outs in videos like this, click on that membership button below. So going into the actual project itself, we're going to go into, let's just say, the first person, let's go to the third person template just so we can see the actual model changing resolution hopefully. And then we're going to choose starter content on, ray tracing on, quality preset maximum, and desktop as the target platform. We're going to set our project name to graphics settings and hit create. Obviously this is going to be in your game. I'm just creating one so you can see kind of the base of the template. All right, so our game has loaded. If we hit play, we can see that we're in cinematic settings. Everything loads up properly and we can run around. We want to create some settings for this, so let's go ahead and create a settings menu. Let's go to the content folder and we're going to create a new widget. So let's right click, go to user interface and choose widget blueprint. We can choose a user widget here and name this settings menu. Let's open that up. And we want to see how big the menu is going to be. So we're going to add a canvas. So under our palette, let's search for canvas and drag a canvas panel in. And this will represent our screen. Now I want the settings menu to be in the center. So we're going to go ahead and drag an image into this. And I'm going to anchor this image right in the center of the screen. And we're going to reset the position to 0 here on both. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball a square, kind of like that. Now, obviously, you can actually get this centered and looking the way you want, but I just kind of want to get a nice little square there that'll say settings. And you can add an image as well, but I'm just going to change the color to black and the opacity to about 0.5. That should be fine. That way it's a little bit see-through. Now let's go ahead and name this just to keep it clean. So background, and we can add some text. So let's drag a text box here. We can anchor it to the center as well, and we're just going to kind of place it. We'll just eyeball it. You can obviously nest these, make it into an actual user interface as you see fit. I'm just going to prototype what it should look like, essentially. We'll get the functionality going. All right, so graphic settings. That'll work. Now we want a combo box because we want the player to be able to choose from a drop down. So combo, and we'll drop a combo box string into the menu here. That'll be good. And then we want to create some options. So we need to reference the actual scalability settings here. So we have low, medium, high, epic, and cinematic. So there's 5 different ones. So for default, let's go ahead and set this to cinematic, and let's add some new ones here. There's 5, so we need a total of 5 indexes here, 0 through 4. And we will start with low, medium, high, epic, cinematic. Great. And I'm going to go ahead and size this just so that it kind of fits well here. That should be fine. And we can adjust the size of our box as well. We can make sure that this is anchored in the center, and that should work fine. Let's go ahead and compile this and save. And we want to make this toggle in our scene. So let's go ahead and add it to our level blueprint. And we just want some key, usually escape, but since escape closes it in the editor, let's go ahead and say it's kind of silly, but we're going to press the number 1 to change our settings. So 1, and we're going to choose the keyboard event 1. And that should work. Now, I'm actually going to go off of released instead of pressed. That way, as soon as they kind of press the key and let go, it's going to switch. If you set it to press, sometimes if they hold down the key, it might just flash back and forth. Not a good look. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of show the widget here. So we're going to create a widget on release. And the type of widget we want to create is our settings menu. And then add widget to viewport, and the target is the return value, and that looks good. So this will make it show up. Let's make sure that works. Yep, that shows up now, and we want this to toggle between on and off. So let's go ahead and drag off of released and type flip flop. And every time the keys release, it's going to flip between two different things. So the first one is create and add, and the second one is going to be remove. We're going to drag off of create settings menu widget and type remove from parent, and we're going to connect B into that. Now, this would work assuming every time they first pressed 1, that widget was created and added, and then the second time they pressed it, it was removed. But just in case it starts at B in any case and the widget doesn't exist, we can actually drag off of return value and type is valid and create an is valid node and set that to be instead. That way, when it goes to B, it checks, is there a settings menu widget in the scene? And if so, then we remove it. Otherwise, we leave it. So let's save and try this. So I press 1 and the menu's there. I press 1 again, and it's gone. So I could toggle it on and off. But let's say I want to actually click on those options. I can't click on anything because I'm actually controlling the character still. So I actually need to not necessarily pause the game. We don't have to pause the game necessarily, though that would help. But we need to enable our cursor so that we can click on things. So let's go back into the blueprint menu here. And if the widget is added to the viewport, then we want to turn off context sensitive and choose set show mouse cursor. And for the target, we're going to get player controller to get our player, obviously. And we're going to put this as true. Now we're going to copy this and paste it, connect it to our node where it turns it off, and set that to false, and make sure that we connect our target as well. Let's hit play again, and now when we press 1, we're actually able to use the mouse cursor and change these settings as we see fit. And if I press 1 again, the mouse goes away and we can play the game. And the game isn't even paused. So now that we actually have the settings menu showing up and disappearing, we're going to go ahead and go to the settings menu itself. You may have noticed that when we clicked the drop-down menu, the boxes were black and didn't really look aesthetic. So we can go into Style, and we can actually adjust all the different styles in the game itself. So if we hit play and press 1, you'll see that the background is gray, dark gray, and the text is black. So it doesn't really fit. So let's fix that. We're going to change the text color to white and leave the background as gray. And then for the selected text color, we can leave that. And we want to change the active brush, let's say, to a dark blue. Let's compile. And now we can see that it looks a lot nicer and is a lot easier to read. But we need to make these actually do something. So let's head back into our settings menu. Scroll down on the right-hand side with the combo box selected and choose on selection changed and hit that little plus sign. All right. One thing I would recommend is in your game settings, actually set the scalability first. So as soon as the game loads, it checks if the save file has settings. If it does, it loads them. If not, it sets a default one. That can go into the standard game settings save options or whatever. But yeah, just make sure you set it first. So yeah, it's not necessary to set it first, but it can be kind of jarring if like you load the settings and it says cinematic even though it's technically on low or something. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and use our on selection changed. And from here, we're going to get game user settings. And that's going to get our current user settings. We're going to drag off of the return value and type is valid. And that's going to make sure that we're actually loaded into the game and we have user settings. If it is valid, we want to switch on string. So from selected item, we're going to type in switch and choose switch on string and connect it to the is valid node. And here's where we're actually going to figure out which settings we're going to be applying. So let's add some pins. We're going to need 5 pins. So now that we've added the pins, we can actually expand them on the left-hand side and rename them. So I'm going to name this low, medium, high, epic, cinematic. And we're going to turn off the default pin as well and just leave these ones set. So what do we need to do to actually set these? We drag off of game user settings and type in set scalability. And we can choose set overall scalability. For low, we're going to leave the value as 0. For medium, we're going to leave the value as 1. For high, we're going to set it to 2. For epic, we're going to set it to 3. And for cinematic, we're going to set it to 4. Now make sure you connect all these targets to your game user settings. All right. And once these are all set, they need to be applied. So we're going to drag off of any one of these, it doesn't matter, and type in apply. And we're going to choose apply settings. And we can just connect all of these nodes to apply settings because it doesn't matter which one it goes to, we still want to apply it. And finally, we'll choose our target and set it to our game user settings as well. And I think that's it. Let's hit compile and save, and let's test the game. So we're currently in cinematic scalability. We can see the nice shadows and everything looking really good. If we press 1, we can click on cinematic here and switch it to low. And yep, you can see that our graphics fidelity changed quite a bit. And then if I change it to cinematic, everything looks a lot cleaner and nicer. Let me go ahead and do a zoom in on some of these reflections here. If I choose low, everything just changes to a much lower quality. Medium, high, epic, and cinematic. But that's it. It's pretty easy to actually adjust the settings. If you want me to do a more in-depth one, like with actually changing the resolution, with changing the frame rate, with the individual graphics options like anti-aliasing and such, let me know and maybe I could do a more in-depth video for you soon. All right, and if you want to learn more Unreal Engine, I actually just released my course on GameDev.tv. It's the Unreal Engine 5 Action Adventure course, and we go over cinematics, metahumans, we go over game settings, we go over QuickTime events, just a ton of really cool things. I was really excited to be a part of it, and let me know what you think. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and as always, thank you so much for watching.
Conversations to games to interviews with a broader view. He keeps it fresh, always brings something new. It's MikeTheTech, 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 the architect, MikeTheTech, MikeTheTech, yeah, MikeTheTech, the architect,